Joining us now to review some of the headlines of today's newspapers from around the world is our Rise News analyst, Emmanuel Great Malabite Efene. Good morning, Emmanuel.
Good morning, Ruben.
How are you?
Good morning, Rufai.
Good morning, sir.
Decked in blue.
Yeah. Yeah.
Following your lead.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Good morning, Victoria. Tundu MK Abiola.
Good morning, Mr. Stephanie.
Looking sweet as always.
Thank you.
Yes, let's start the review with this day, Nigeria's newspaper of record. Lead story, Northern governors, power shift not in constitution. Condemn statement by Southern governors that power must move to South. Oppose state's collection of VAT, say it will lead to multiple taxation. Yes, but I must just acknowledge the story above the masthead of the window story, we call it. INEC insists on e-transmission of polls result, wants National Assembly to revisit Electoral Act. Says Commission not subordinate to NCC. Saraki asks legislation to act in national interest, and I will concur that the National Assembly must act in national interest so that the next election will not only be credible, but will be seen to be credible, fair, and reflection of the people's will. Now, the Northern Governor story is being reported by other newspapers. We just breeze through quickly. The Guardian newspaper, power shift, your position unconstitutional. Northern governors reply South colleagues. Back, federal government of VAT says, say Lagos, Rivers misunderstood the task. Did Lagos and Rivers misunderstood anything? Well, I'm not sure they misunderstood that because they went to court, Rivers went to court, and court gave a judgment, its interpretation. That is the extant law subject till when the higher court rules otherwise. Tundu, I'm sure you agree with me on that. Now, the Vanguard newspaper, also the same story. Southern Northern governors at war over VAT power shift. While the leadership newspaper, 2023 presidency, Northern governors, traditional leaders reject power shift. Slams Southern governors stands over zoning. Now, the New Telegraph newspaper, Northern governors to Southern counterparts, demand for presidency unconstitutional. But there's another story there on security below the photograph. Insecurity, bandits kill 42. Raise houses, take out Southern Kaduna villages. Will nations, world nations border, Navy tells federal government. Bajabia Miller assures on passage of security bills. While the Daily Trust newspaper, 2023, North rejects Southern governors' demand for power shift. Says they are confused over VAT. Hails anti-banditry operation, Afenifere Pandev condemns stance governor's mom. Now, the Daily Sun newspaper, Northern governors dare South on 2023 presidency. Now, this argument has gone on ding-dong, as it were. But one thing must be clear. Nobody is talking about, whether it is in the Constitution or not. The clamor is that for equity, fairness, harmony in the polity, if President Muhammadu Buhari by 2023 will have done 8 years, presidency should shift to the South. And the clamor is a bipartisan clamor. It's not APC or PDP. For those trying to say, that was a PDP arrangement, blah, 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 it's a bipartisan call. And there's unison in that call among Nigerians, including a number of northern governors, that for fairness, power should shift. We don't want it to look as if somebody has to die for a southerner to be president. Abiola died without actualizing his mandate. So you have to compensate the Yoruba's presidency went to the Obasanjo. Yaradua died in office, so Jonathan as vice president, had to step in. Must somebody die? For Southerners to be president, I say no. We are talking about equity, fairness. Now, Ambassador Yahya Kwande put up a number of arguments, some quite convoluted. He was saying that Jonathan, having completed the tenure, ought to have just left quietly and go back to Otwoke. Is he saying, if a northern president had been elected by the PDP then, would that president have done just one term? To say, oh, I've completed Yar'Adwa's term. Is he saying, if a northern president is taking his claim in 2023, is he going to say that I want to complete Yar'Adwa's term that Jonathan aborted? So all these kind of arguments don't make sense. What we are all saying is that for equity, fairness, power having been in the north from 2015, by 2023, power should shift today. It's a fair request, and the politicians know what to do. Those who are arguing because they are friends of some presidential aspirants must also know that this nation is bigger than any presidential aspirant. That should not be the basis of your argument. But I will look at the back page of this day where Reuben Abati, yes, the great Reuben Abati, has intervened in matters in my area. The brewing crisis in Warri, yes, I can tell you that the people of Warri will live in harmony and there will be no fight again. All the people, the groups that fought in the past are my blood relations. And all of us, we have decided not to fight again. The Olu of Warri Ogiame III struck all the right chords during his coronation speech when he said he wants not only the Shekiris to progress, but also their neighbors. They all progress together. But Reuben, if I just look at your piece, and I'll just make certain observations, the brewing crisis in Warri, yes. Your opening paragraph talked about the case between Donuma and the Agbasa people. Quite a case. Is what it is. But in Warri, you have the Agbasa Urubus, you have the Okere Urubus. You must put in context the fact that the Okere Urubus, who are also my people, by Supreme Court judgment, the extant law, are the owners of where they occupy. And in that case, the Olu of Warri was part of the case, and everybody knows that case. That is why you have the vast area you call Okumagba layout in Warri. That is Okere Urubu area. No contest about that. Everybody knows that in Warri. And they have their own king. It's my king also. I have several kings. The Olu of Warri is my king because the Olu of Warri stated clearly, if one of your grandparents is a Shekiri, you are a Shekiri. So there's no half a Shekiri like you stated here. There's nothing like half a Shekiri. Clear? Then, by virtue of my forebears being part of that Okumagba family, properly, they call the Olodi, Oki, and Igugbado family. They own the part of Warri they occupy. They are not subject to the law of Warri. And they have their own king, the Orosue of Okere Urubu Kingdom. It's my king also. So I just say I should put this thing into context. But the issue now, talking about Wado City, which some people have been banding on the internet, it started with just somebody suggesting that the urban areas of Urubu that are loosely regarded as Warri area should have their own nomenclature so that there's no confusion. Like in 1958, what you talked about, when the Olu of Warri, some were saying, no, it should be the Olu of Ishege, not Olu of Warri. The reason then was that the area called Warri Province is the whole of Delta State minus the Anioma area, which used to be part of Benin Province. So the argument then was that if you just say Olu of Warri, you will think you are talking about the Olu of the entire province. But again, like you said, Awolowo, the premier of the Western region, did the needful. Olu of Warri is the title, accepted, no contest. But everybody knows his father's compound in Warri City. I have, yes, I have a compound as an Ijaw man. I inherited from my grandfather. I have a compound as a Shekiri man. I have a compound as an Urobo man. Inherited from my forebears. And for the records, my grandmother, Princess Warri Christiana Mayo Numa, was the daughter of Prince Mayo Numa of Ode Shekiri. Prince Mayo Numa happens to be the grandson of Princess Uwala, the most powerful woman in her days. And when she intervened in these coronation matters, there was interregnum for 88 years. Ruben, am I making sense?
Well, I mean, you know, Tondo, you can see Nigeria is in trouble.
No, we're not in trouble.
With all your education and your accomplishments in journalism, you have to go back to the village.
Of course,
well,
I come from somewhere.
You are entitled to a right of reply. But I don't have a dog in your fight.
No, you have not represented us well.
I mean,
so that's why
you have the right of reply.
That's why
you have exercised that.
Yes.
But I don't have a dog in that fight.
I know you don't have.
You know, our only concern is that you people should not add to Nigeria's problems.
No, we are living in peace.
Don't start another theater of war.
We are living in peace.
In that your community.
No, there will
okay?
no.
So that's the whole purpose of the peace. I don't have a dog in that fight.
No, okay.
Okay, but you have to take time out. You know, important segment of the morning show to go and fight village.
No, the back page, because you have reflected on the back page of Nigeria's newspaper of record. This day.
Okay. This is the problem with Nigeria. Can we now blame Ambassador Kwande?
No,
we
Rufai.
even have a Feni here.
No, Rufai, you need to read this piece because you are a Warri boy by association. So you know that some of the areas Ruben mentioned are areas that are not even in Warri local government area. He was talking about Udu Alaja.
No, Udu is not.
Well, I was quoting a specific document put out by the Wadu City Group. I didn't make it up.
No, what those guys were suggesting is that urban areas of Urobo like Udu Alaja.
Okay, can we focus on international
papers,
leave this
please.
your village
No, you know when your story is told in the back page of this, it's a serious matter. So now let's look at the foreign newspapers quickly. The Times of London led Britain, key workers fill up first. Prime Minister urged. Doctor warned fuel crisis is risk for NHS. Yes, the fuel problem in UK is not about to go away so soon. Well, Boris Johnson has given go-ahead that 150 military personnel to drive tankers should be trained or just retrained. But by the weekend, up to 80 will be ready to work. But some are urging ministers to use the emergency powers to designate some petrol stations for the sole use of key workers, so that key sectors of the economy, of the society, like the NHS, don't get grounded because of this petrol problem. Now, the Wall Street Journal, Tundo, I know you'll be interested in this. Facebook suspends plan for children's Instagram. Yes, delay follows concern about how platform can negatively affect mental health in youth. Of course, lawmakers and others have complained about the plan by Facebook to introduce children's Instagram. But they have done the needful now to say, well, we have to step back, take another look at what we're doing to see how we can address the fears of lawmakers and parents like Tundu.
I have such an awful lot to say on this subject, but we don't have much time. It affects everybody's mental health, the kind of narcissism and body dysmorphia. Some people have to edit pictures. You know, I'm funny about social media. You don't even post your picture looking like yourself. You've edited yourself beyond all recognition.
Yes.
So you can imagine how that affects young people. This is a really good idea.
That's really good.
Yes.
And I'm just only sad because I think they have YouTube for kids already.
Disaster.
It's a disaster.
Anyway, thank you very much, Emmanuel Ifene. offset, you can continue with your worry battles.
Oh, you bet he will.
But just allow Nigeria to have peace.
No, we have to.